Call of Duty Warzone is the best Battle Royale game on the market right now. Yep, it's got Fortnite, Apex Legends, and PUBG beat. Why do I think that? Well, Warzone has the most players we've ever seen in a Battle Royale game. And the game is smooth as butter, with incredible gunplay that we've come to expect from Call of Duty. But that's not even all there is to it. To really get into the nitty-gritty, I'm going to have to compare and contrast Warzone to its competition. As you all know by now, there are a few things that all Battle Royale games have in common. The goal of each of them is to be the last player or team standing as you take out your opponents and stay inside of the shrinking zone. But it's the way Warzone does all the other things that make it so good. And what better game to compare it to than Fortnite? Fortnite is the game that essentially brought the Battle Royale genre to the forefront of gaming, whether we like it or not. And it shares a bunch of similarities with Warzone. For starters, both games are free to play with microtransactions. You can buy weapon skins and gun skins that give you no in-game advantage. They're all purely aesthetic. The game modes available on Warzone are solos, trios, and squads, while Fortnite has solos, duos, and squads. Duos hasn't been added to Warzone yet, and Trios has occasionally appeared as a limited time mode in Fortnite. I'll admit it's kinda disappointing that Warzone doesn't have a Duos mode yet, but according to Amos Hodge, the creative director at Raven Software, it will be coming in the future, hopefully in Season 4. As for the looting system, both games are also quite similar. There are colored weapons on the ground to indicate their rarity, and all you need to do is pick them up to use them. There are no attachments for your weapons or any of that jazz, so it's as simple as picking a weapon up and shooting it. It also means that you won't spend half the game in menus, which is always a good thing. But I'll get into that a bit more later on. Even the inventories in both games are similar. In Warzone, you can carry 2 weapons, a tactical, 2 lethals, 5 to 8 armor plates, and ammo. In Fortnite, you can carry your harvesting tool, 5 weapons and items, 3 different sets of materials, and ammo. Sure, you could carry more weapons in Fortnite if you want, but you need to keep some of those slots open for healing items and even throwables. There's less variety in Warzone's inventory, and it's already organized for you, so there's no wasted time. And that's pretty much where the similarities end. The healing system in these games is wildly different. Call of Duty kept their typical time-based health regeneration in Warzone, but also gave players 3 armor plate slots for extra protection. These armor plates don't regenerate, but they're not too difficult to find throughout the map. As you can tell, Warzone's healing system is kind of a mix between the typical Battle Royale healing system and Call of Duty's own healing system. Fortnite has a more common Battle Royale healing system with no regeneration. To restore your health, you need bandages or a med kit. To restore your shield, you need a mini shield or half shields. What this translates to is more action in Warzone. In Fortnite, when you're low on health, you typically build a small fort and heal up, which could take around 15 to 20 seconds. In Warzone, if you take some heavy damage, you can just pop some armor plates and your health regenerates all by itself, so you can be ready to go in under 10 seconds. That just goes to show how fast the pace of play in Warzone is. If a teammate is down and thirsted, they can be rezzed in both games, but it's done quite differently in each. In Fortnite, if a player's downed, they drop a reboot card. If you collect this reboot card before the time runs out and head towards a reboot van, you could res your teammate. Seems simple enough, but Warzone does things completely differently. In Warzone, if your teammate got completely wiped and the Gulag is still open, they'll be able to fight against someone in a one-on-one duel to return to the game. Something that's completely unique to the Battle Royale genre. There's a lot of strategy that goes into these one-on-one gunfights, but even if you lose, you could still come back. All you need is a teammate to have enough money to bring you back at a buy station. The Gulag is such a fun addition to the game since it allows players to be more aggressive in the early game knowing that they have a chance to come back anyway. Warzone also has loadout drops that spawn at specific times of the game and could be bought at a buy station. They allow you to create your own loadouts and bring them into the Battle Royale, bringing a level of customization to the game that Fortnite just doesn't have. Sure, 99% of players just run the ground HDR combo, but at least these are your guns and not just some random ones you pick up off the ground. If you have your loadout and some armor plates, you're ready for the endgame, baby. Speaking of which, the endgame is completely different in both games because there's no building mechanic in Warzone. In Warzone, if the final circle is in a field with no cover, you can't just build a wizard's tower and try to snipe your way to victory like in Fortnite. A mistake many Warzone Warzone players make in the final circle is avoiding the gas completely, but if you have a gas mask, you could flank opponents and get behind them while taking minimal damage. There's just so much more variety to the endgame of Warzone, and every game feels unique since it's not just a bunch of people sniping from the top of their very own Empire State Building until one player or team is left standing. Even the first-person perspective makes a difference. You get different lines of sight, a smaller field of view, and the game just feels so much more immersive. Don't get me wrong, I think Fortnite is a great battle royale, but for all these reasons, I think Warzone's got it beat. So what about Apex Legends? Well, just like Fortnite, Warzone has a lot of similarities and differences with the game. Again, they're both free to play with microtransactions for aesthetic items only. The game modes available in Apex Legends are only duos and trios because solos just wouldn't really work in the game. Apex Legends is called that because their playable characters are known as Legends, and they all have unique special abilities, some of which just wouldn't work in solos. To make it work, they'd have to turn abilities off, which is one of the main drawing points for the game, so Warzone is definitely the choice for solo battle royale gamers. Operators in Warzone don't have any special powers. Sure, you can get some perks in Warzone from your loadout drops like EOD that makes you take less damage from explosives, and Ghost that makes you invisible to UAV and heartbeat sensors, but they don't give your character game-changing abilities like those in Apex Legends. After all, Warzone is a part of modern warfare, so it only makes sense for the game to be realistic. It also means we get solos, so there's another notch in Warzone's belt. The healing system in Apex works pretty much exactly like Fortnite's. There's no health regeneration unless you're playing as Octane, so you have to take syringes and medkits to restore health and shield cells and batteries to restore shield. Even resurrecting someone is similar to Fortnite. You have to loot a banner from their body and bring it to a respawn beacon to bring them back. Apex did it before Fortnite though, so I'll give them kudos for that. But Warzone's Gulag system is just so good and brings something different to the Battle Royale genre. It's pretty far from just a gimmick. Earlier, I mentioned that Warzone and Fortnite do a good job of keeping you out of menus and in the game, which sadly is something that can't be said about Apex Legends. While weapons in Warzone don't have any attachments, they do in Apex Legends. There's so much customization for the guns in Apex, from barrel attachments to extended mags and even stocks, which I'm not gonna lie is amazing. The main issue is that you spend a lot of time in these menus to set up your weapons, and that's easily the most boring part of any battle royale. On top of all that, you could also hold many more items in your inventory in Apex. If you have the epic or legendary backpack, you could hold up to 16 different items, which is much more than Warzone. This only adds to the clutter in the inventory that already takes up the entire screen. In Warzone, the inventory is just a little pop-up on the bottom of the screen, but in Apex, it covers the entire screen, so you could get completely blindsided much easier. If you think about it, since there are so many different items in Apex, the percentage of getting each unique item is lowered, meaning there's less chance of finding what you're looking for. There's no loadout drops either like in Warzone, so you can't just essentially buy the gear you want. It's all a scavenger hunt, which means luck plays a much bigger factor in determining whether you win or lose a game of Apex than it does in Warzone. The endgame in Warzone and Apex is quite similar, but there's one unique distinction. Apex relies a lot more on using special abilities and working together to catch the opposing team out, while Warzone relies more on tactics, using your surrounding as cover and gun skill. Communication is key in both games, but there's so much going on in Warzone that a lack of effective communication could be your downfall. Lastly, let's take a look at how Warzone compares to PUBG. Honestly, PUBG is probably the most similar game to Warzone, in that it's a boots-on-the-ground modern battle royale. That being said, it's not nearly as polished as Warzone, which is surprising considering it's not even free to play. Yeah, PUBG costs around $30 to play, and there's no trios like in Warzone. Sure, there's a duos mode in PUBG, but like I said earlier, it's coming to Warzone soon. Since PUBG isn't free to play, but PUBG Mobile is, a lot of gamers have started playing PUBG on their phones and have not looked back. While Call of Duty Mobile is incredibly fun, it's not taking anyone away from Warzone, that's for sure. The gunfights in PUBG are actually quite clunky and are nowhere near as smooth as Warzone's. Call of Duty's gunfight mechanics are pretty much only rivaled by Halo's, and they have yet to enter the Battle Royale genre, so Warzone is the best in the business when it comes to gunplay in a BR. PUBG has a looting system similar to Apex Legends in that there's a lot of loot to pick up and an inventory screen that covers the entire screen. Its healing system is also similar to Fortnite and Apex in that there's no health regeneration and you have to use items to restore it, but unlike those games, you pick up armor pieces so you take less damage. The end game is similar to Warzone in that you have to use your environment to your advantage and hit your shots. All in all, while Fortnite, Apex, and PUBG are all great games in their own right, they just don't compare to the Battle Royale king, Call of Duty Warzone. And that's why I think Warzone is the best Battle Royale out there. Do you agree with me, or do you think Fortnite, Apex, or PUBG is better? Let me know in the comment section down below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more gaming videos. Thanks for watching.